This is That Video Game Podcast, episode 564 for August 13th, 2018, Cease and Desist edition.
Letter of the law, not spirit of the law.
Welcome back to another episode of That Video Game Podcast. I'm your host, Boston, and joining me as always is Moonpeer.
Hello.
We don't really have any, the recap episode for Celeste, our latest Game Club episode, is going to happen next weekend, so you've got a little bit of time left, and Celeste isn't that super long, so you still have plenty of time.
No, it was quicker than I was expecting it to be, especially considering like 2 of the last 3 levels are essentially just small little nuggets of levels.
Okay. On that note, let's just dive right into it. What have you been playing this past week?
Okay, start with the showstopper. ACA NeoGeo, Turf Masters.
Oh,
the golden golf game from the NeoGeo era.
So good.
Finally, after like 10 hours of trying, I got my last achievement in that game.
Nice. Whoops.
Which is the dropping the glass all over the place.
Whoops.
No, the last achievement I got was the high score mode, which is you need to get to hole 11 or hole 10 on high score mode, which if you've never played that game, it's an arcade golf game and you gain credits by birdies and you lose credits by anything other than a par. And you lose a credit for just going to the next hole.
Yeah, it's tough.
Hard.
Yeah.
But I finally got it. Pro tip,
Nice.
German golfer, Australian course. You'll get there eventually. But that game is still so good.
Yeah.
If you want a good example of the NeoGeo selection, Metal Slug is obviously a go-to, and kind of so is this, because they do some animation things with those golfers that even like PGA games can't cope with these days.
Well, it's one of those games like you look at Metal Slug and you look at Neo Turf Masters and you think, God, this still looks good. Like 20-something years later, it still looks incredibly good.
Yeah, I don't know how they managed to make it look as good as that way back then. Yeah. Again, same with Metal Slug. It's like, how do you get this animation this detailed?
So many frames of animation. It's and back then it was largely hand drawn, a lot of stuff with computers they were using them, but it was fairly rudimentary.
Yeah, definitely. So finally got that game off my checked to-do list.
Congrats.
So there's another game I beat this year. Thank goodness for that. I played a tiny little bit of Vermintide 2. This seems to have become my go-to Saturday night game that I jump in Friday or Saturday night, play a couple of rounds with Brain Eater and T-Bomb Rocks from the community.
Right.
Something I did not realize, there is 4 characters. Each of the 4 characters has 3 character classes. I discovered that last night when I accidentally realized I have a second class for the character I've been playing as.
Oh, wow.
And they have different special abilities, different signature moves, different buffs, different perks, and oh no, this game is going to steal my life.
I like that it just keeps unfolding and unfolding, and every time it unfolds a little bit, you're like, oh no, there's more great stuff. Like, you just feel yourself getting pulled down. It's like, no.
It's even worse because it has the full crafting system of like a Diablo, because it's a loot-based game. So it has the take all of these items, turn them into materials, craft new items from said materials, and upgrade them to get better items. So, yeah, expect a whole bunch of news from me in regards to why am I still playing this game in 2030.
God, that sounds so good.
It's really, really good. Like, really good. And the game looks gorgeous, and it runs great, and minus the stupid voices, which I mentioned previously. It's... Genuinely speaking, it's a really good game, and every single class plays differently. I cannot recommend Vermintide 1 and 2 enough to anybody who's a fan of that. like Left 4 Dead style cooperative like action game.
Left 4 Dead plus Diablo.
Yes, plus Warhammer, which
Right.
the only way it could be better is if it was 40k and instead of like regular old Warhammer.
Yeah.
I'd love to see like a 40k game done exactly like this.
Which was the one that they ended? It was regular Warhammer, not 40k,
Yes,
right?
Yes, Vermintide is the end of the world for Warhammer.
Okay.
The Vermintide is essentially the apocalypse. Like, it's the rat race.
The rat apocalypse.
Yes, which is the humanoid rats
Right.
are basically swarming over the planet and destroying all like civilized life.
You know, as is foretold in Vermintide 1.
Yes, as is foretold in the prophecies, apparently.
Right.
But that's I like that game a lot.
Yeah.
Like, the only downside is it doesn't have a versus mode. But when you have a game that has loot and has character levels and stuff like that,
Yeah.
it becomes at that point impossible to balance.
Yeah, it's like it's those have to be the hard design decisions, because I feel like when you're staying at those crossroads, there's only two solutions. Either you make power matter, so the walled garden is very high, or you normalize power between all players when they're in versus. But then for a loot game, that feels like you just wasted a lot of your time.
Yeah, like you can play in multiplayer mode, and the only thing you could do is essentially strip out everything that has numbers.
Yep.
And be like, oh, you can still earn loot, and that will go towards your single player game, but
Right.
it doesn't feel great to have that kind of thing. And then if you start putting perks in one side, you've got to start putting the loot in the other side as well.
Yep.
So in order to level up your quote-unquote infected, you'd have to play as them to grind out the loot for them to then make them better. So it's an impossible decision to make. Like, I don't... Evolve is a great example of this. Like, it's a very difficult thing to do, and to do well. So...
Yeah, how do you make it rewarding and satisfying? Like, those are the two sides of the coin.
Yeah, which is... It makes no difference, basically impossible to do that.
Yep.
Like, to have both those systems in a game at the same time. So, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
I will probably keep, like, tapping away at this, because it's literally... I've done, like, 2 acts out of 3 so far. Like, that's all I've done, and this game is so fun to just chill out and play. It's amazing. So,
yeah.
Vermintide 2, if you want to play it, let me know. I'm down for it.
Hit him up, Moonpier on Xbox One.
And everywhere else, except for on PlayStation.
Right. Yes.
Where I'm Moonpier US. Because thank you, PlayStation.
You have to show your location.
Yes.
You have location services turned on.
Yeah, the fact that I have 2 PSN accounts.
Stupid Sony.
Let's talk speaking of PlayStation, let's talk about God of War. I'm pretty sure I am knocking on the door to the end of that game right now.
Oh, we should have talked about it before. Well, I don't even want to spoil it. Yeah, okay. I was thinking like, we should have talked about it before, and then I could tell you like how close you are, but I don't want to tell you how close you are.
Yep. As T-Bomb Rockstar was talking to him about it last night, he was like, okay, so do you know who the stranger is? Yes, I know who the stranger is.
Yep.
I know the big secret about the boy.
Gotcha.
The boy knows the big secret about the boy.
Okay, yep, okay.
I've had the attitude adjustment necessary period for the boy.
Right. Probably my one minor issue with the game is I feel like that mini storyline ramps up very quickly and ramps down very quickly.
It's like someone snapped their fingers and like immediately he to use pro wrestling terms, he heel turned and then face turned in the course of like 2 hours.
When you said snap your fingers, I immediately thought about like a hypnotizer where it's just like, and now you're this, and he's just like, and now
you're a D-bag.
Right.
Yeah, that moment is like, that section is weird. Like, it feels weird to have that sudden of a turnaround with him. especially when he's talking to Siri, the hypoallergenic dwarf.
Yes, yeah.
When he's talking to him, it's particularly bad. I can't remember that guy's name.
I think you're right.
I think it's Borok and something else, but I can't remember.
I think, yeah, definitely Borok. I think it is Siri, yeah.
But when he's talking to him, like that whole section, it's just like, where did this come from? Like,
and to me, it's so out of place because it's the one story section in the game that feels unearned.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's that great, again, no spoilers, there's that really great, you walk into the light and there's that extended dream sequence and then you come back out and a period of time has passed. I felt like that was well earned because you felt how long had passed.
Yeah.
But this, it almost feels like it had to be in there for the overall story.
Yeah.
But they also had a time restraint. Like, they couldn't make the game 2 hours longer.
The funny thing is I have a sneaking suspicion as to what might have caused that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a very, very simple plot device.
Yeah.
A very, very simple story device. But I don't know yet because I haven't finished the game.
Right.
So I don't know if his little story section is like his attitude shift is explained in any particular way, or even if the thing that I think is described at a later point at all. So I have to wait until the end to figure out if literally they could have put in one sentence about what this one particular thing, and it would have perfectly explained it. So
I feel like by the time you get to the ending, I think a lot of that stuff sews itself up pretty nicely.
Yeah.
Have you found the other optional realm?
I haven't yet.
Okay.
I think I've found 2 of the language ciphers for that realm.
Okay.
And I'm actually at a point where I'm thinking, should I just go and do all the collectibles now? Because I'm the realm that I'm about to go to, like, it's looking like I'm about to go to do the final chapter of the game.
Right.
Like, really, really close, because you aim to go to the final area, and then you get knocked back from going to the final area like 3 times so far.
Yes, yeah.
It's like, oh, I'm getting close to the end. No, you're not. Here's a big step back. Right. No, you're not. This thing got destroyed. No, you're not. Now you're here.
Big hand, a big Monty Python hand comes out and pushes you down the mountain.
Yes, exactly.
I would recommend, because the game is just old enough, I feel like we're approaching the time where open spoilers are just going to happen.
Uh-huh.
I think the thing that the game does really well is literally as soon as you get the ending, they like turn around and the game just continues. Like they just give you control back, and then you can go back to your house to get like the little
secret ending.
Yeah, like the little coda on the ending. But even when you do that, that lets you back in the world anyway. So
yeah.
I would almost recommend just like push through the end just to get it. Then like when you look up a guide where it's like, okay, I just need one more raven in this area and I don't know where it is. You don't run into a YouTube video where it's like, this person is spoiler and it's just like, oh my god.
Yeah, coming up next.
Right.
10 things you didn't know about God of War 2018.
10 spoilers you didn't know about God of War. It's just like, son of a...
But no, God of War continues to be an incredible game, and it's one of my first games with a photo mode, not including Elite Dangerous, which has always had it in there. But I kind of use that just because it's like, oh, I want to talk about the sense of scale that this game does during Game of the Year.
Right.
Here is a screenshot that will perfectly encapsulate what I'm talking about.
I didn't have photo mode when I played it because it came out like a week after I finished it.
Yep.
But on the 20th, they're coming out with New Game Plus mode.
Mm-hmm.
That might be my time to check out that mode and check out photo mode at the same time.
It's really, it's a really cool photo mode. Like, it essentially just pauses the game and gives you free roam of the camera.
Yeah.
Like you're a third person, like you're Lakitu from Mario Kart or
Right,
Mario.
right.
Like, you're just flying around with the camera.
Right.
But it's like, oh, there's the snake, so I'm going to take a photo right here to show how big that thing really is.
Yeah.
Like,
That's what they did really well in Horizon Zero Dawn.
Yep.
That was the same photo mode, and I liked getting knocked back by a giant monster, and then while I'm flying, just hitting, it was like up or down on the D-pad, and it immediately pauses, and then you can control it and like change I know in God of War you can change facial expressions and stuff like that. You do a little bit of that, but what I liked about in Horizon Zero Dawn is you could even change the position of the sun. So you can change day and night and like drag the sun through the sky. And it's like, God, this is so cool.
That's kind of a cool idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, that game was on my pile of PlayStation 4 games that I now own.
I enjoyed that one way more than I thought I was going to. Mostly because I got into the story way more than I expected. I heard that from everybody, where it's like, the story is really good, and it's like, yeah, okay. I mean, it's an open world game, so...
I'll be honest, for me, it really helps that it's the main character. Can't remember her name, but
Aloy.
I hate it. Yes. A form of metal. Aloy.
Yeah, it's so weird, like, because when I read her name originally, I was like, Alloy is a really weird name because that's type of metal. And then when they say Aloy's name at the beginning, I was like, that's even weirder.
Yep. It probably helps with that she's voice acted by, in my opinion, one of the most talented female voice actors out there in Ashley Birch.
Yep.
Who, you can like her and you can hate her. That's kind of the whole point. Because
she does such a good job as Aloy.
And she was Chloe in Life is Strange.
Right. Yep.
And she was Tiny Tina, which was the perfect person to hate her as. I love Tiny Tina. No beef against Tiny Tina because I genuinely love her. But that shows her range, the fact that she can make you hate her with one character and love her with these two others. So
yeah, like between her and, was it Laura Bailey, the woman who did Shepard in the Mass Effect?
Yep.
Both of those two they're both so good.
I can't remember her name, but the lady who plays Gwen in Doctor Who / Torchwood, who does she's in Dragon Age 2 as the elf who gets exorcised from her community.
Yeah. Oh, that's a great voice actor too.
That's one of my favorite voice acting performances of all time. Yeah. Because it's a fish out of water story just told through voice.
Yep.
And it's incredible.
Oh, man. Yeah, that was good. I forgot all about that. Man, I like Dragon Age 2.
Yes, Dragon Age is way too good.
Half of the people just listening just tapped out because they're like, I can't believe you. That's fine.
But no, God of War, I will get to the end when I get to it. I might be trying to do it soon. Little section for the video podcast folks here. I'm wearing compression gloves.
Yeah.
Because I'm really struggling with my hands recently.
Yeah.
So PlayStation, I'm going to have to invest in the stupid dongle so I can use one of my Xbox controllers with it.
Yeah. Because otherwise, like, I know people make controllers that have the asymmetric sticks for PS4, but then you have to go out and buy another controller. Like that.
Yep.
Even third-party controllers aren't cheap. It's not like, well, here's a $15 controller. It's like, yeah, sure.
Yeah. So the thing, I'll probably end up getting the dongle because I have 5 Xbox One controllers, I think. And one of them is attached to the PC. My Elite is attached to my Xbox One X.
It's like me with PS4 controllers. I have one right here.
Yeah, but that's the classic one, so that's the reason why you have it.
Oh, yeah, it is, because it doesn't have the light bar thing here on the front, which I really like on these new controllers.
I'm not going to lie, I'm very impressed by the use of the light bar in that game.
Yep.
Because this is something I've been meaning to talk about a lot with God of War. They use that light bar fantastically. Mm-hmm. Because the second you get in combat, it turns red.
Yeah.
When you get in the boat, it turns like a nice, smooth, watery blue.
Yeah.
When you go into rage mode, it turns into a deeper shade of red.
Oh, nice.
And then when you're doing the magic doors that require you to do the chisel thing...
That's where I used it so much.
It glows a dark red to let you know when you're in the right area.
Yep, I use that so much because for me, this is going to sound so weird. I have to turn vibration off at the OS level for every console because it gives me such a headache. I don't know, like, if it's rattling my brain in my skull.
Well, clearly it is.
No, right. It's a very tiny brain. There's a lot of flopping around in there. It just, like, ever since the PS1, every single console has given me a headache with Rumble.
That's interesting. So, Moonpier's arthritis and Boston's osteoporosis.
Right. But what's so great about that is it was really easy to figure out where you do that the chisel, because it turned from like an orange to a red orange.
Yep. It's really, really clever use of that thing. And when you die as well, it changes color just to let you know you've died.
Yeah.
Which is, of course.
I'm glad they put that little cutout on the front, because before, developers would use the light bar really well.
And no one would see it.
Yeah, or like you'd see it reflected off your TV, and that's kind of annoying, but there wasn't really... You'd miss cool moments like that because you're not holding your controller, like, perpendicular to you, you know?
Yeah, you're not trying to tell a spooky story with a PlayStation 4 controller.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, I didn't even realize that strip was a section of the new controls. I thought it was just always like that. Like, I didn't realize that strip on the top was a new addition to the controller design.
Yeah.
Because it's really, really cool.
Yep.
It's like, it's good just sitting, looking down and saying, oh, look, I just went into rage mode and that went bright red.
Yeah.
That's a cool moment.
It always tickles me. I know some people think it's dumb, but I love it. Between the touchpad and the light bar, I like that control. I like the features of that controller a lot.
I don't like the touchpad because I don't know what it is. I've never liked trackpads. I've never liked touchpads.
Yeah.
I've never been able to use them really well. It does make me laugh though, because I was trying to enter. This is me admitting my Xbox favoritism section of the show. I told this story to T-Bomb last night, and he got a chuckle out of it. So, we recently bought a new router because read up on Spectrum in New York, folks, and figure out what kind of a mess we are in this household.
That real poop show.
Yeah. So, we thought, well, let's get a new router. So, I went out and dropped like $190 on a Nighthawk to see if I could fix the issue. So, we now have a Nighthawk router modem. It's great. Our speed has increased. Thanks,
awesome.
Spectrum.
Yeah.
It's dead simple to set up, and it was great. And I hadn't played the PlayStation in a little bit because we have limited slots in the back of our router. We've got 2 PCs plugged in, 2 Xbox One X's plugged in, a whole bunch of other stuff plugged into these things, and they come with 4 slots. So it's like, I forgot that my PlayStation 4 was connected to the router wirelessly.
Oh, right.
I got a notification on my phone saying someone sent you a friend request. I was like, okay, because now I have that dumb, stupid PlayStation app installed that doesn't do anything.
It's the worst.
So I booted up my PlayStation. I was like, why is it not connected? Is PSN down? Because my PlayStation's not connected to... Why is my PlayStation not connecting to the internet?
Right.
PSN, I mean, I know Xbox is having issues right now with the new update and all the stuff that's going on with that, but they're fixing them as quick as they can. Whereas I turn on my PlayStation and it just doesn't connect.
Right, it's just dead.
I was like, what is going on? Literally went into the settings menu. I was like, oh, right, I didn't connect it to the new router.
Whoops.
Oopsies. So I got that fixed, and now I'm accepting friend requests again on PlayStation 4. But I got that all underway, and I kind of just want to play God of War.
Yeah.
Like,
one of my favorite implementations of the touchpad actually on PS4, oddly enough, is Binding of Isaac. Because
what does it do?
If you just hold your finger on the touchpad, you don't even push it, it opens the map to the big size. Okay. And if you drag your finger along, it moves the map on the screen.
That's kind of cool.
And it's one of those things where it's like, cool, you didn't need to do that, but I like just like resting my finger on it and the map gets big. You pull your finger off and then it goes back to normal. You push the touchpad, it permanently brings up the big map. Push it again, it shrinks down to the normal one.
Yeah, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I tried to... Every time I tried to do anything to do with text on a PlayStation, I always tried the touchpad, and then I always mess it up.
Oh god, it's so bad. You can also enable 6-axis for text input, and I'm like, why would you make... Why did you have Satan make that feature? Like, why?
I honestly do not know why they would do it. But it's there for those people who just want to get a kick out of waving their controller around to input text.
Yeah, I mean, like, if that's an accessibility thing, that's cool, and I'm glad they have it in there. It's one of those things that you try once, and you're just like, this isn't gonna work at all.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, I'm glad it's in there. I'm never going to use it. It's very much like the co-pilot feature on the Xbox, which is one of the best features of that console, and nobody seems to know about it.
Oh, yeah.
Like, the fact that you can essentially share controls with another controller on your system is incredible. That is a genius step that I think Microsoft have not done enough to make people aware.
I'm glad that people are finally catching up on the Xbox One's game-level LFG system. Because, like, for example, with Destiny 2 LFG sites are largely dead because they're just using the one on the console, and that's awesome.
Yep.
Sony.
My wife plays Rocket League all of the time with people. I'm pretty sure we introduced ourselves to Kat and Charlie, like two of the greatest people on the planet, through what my wife refers to as one-night stands, which is people she does the
so good.
She does the looking for group thing. She starts playing with these people for that one night, then she stops playing with them when she has to go to bed, and then the next day she's like, or like 2 weeks later, she's like, who is this person? What did I play with them? And when was it? So it becomes like she refers to them as one-night stands, which is
so good,
so perfect.
Oh god!
Like the LFG thing, it's so good until you get a game like Rocket League where it's just willing to trade 5 keys or 5 chests for blah blah blah. It's just like, okay, you've implemented the Steam Marketplace now on your Xbox console. That's fine.
That's not so bad.
But I like the features of both consoles at this point.
Yeah.
Like, they both have strengths, they both have weaknesses. One of the major strengths that the PlayStation 4 has for me right now is the fact that it doesn't have 400 games installed.
Yes, so it's a very focused experience.
Exactly.
How many icons do you have on your dashboard? Like 4?
9. Because it came with all that stupid PlayStation View and PlayStation that stuff. So I literally just dumped all that into one folder and called that folder stuff I'm never going to use.
Yep.
And eventually it's slowly working its way further to the right as I don't go in that folder ever again. So, you know, they both have their strengths and weaknesses, but hopefully I can get God of War finished soon, because hashtag spoiler alert, that's going on my Game of the Year list.
Yeah, me too.
I don't know where it is going, but it is going on my Game of the Year list.
It's pretty high for me.
I did a rough draft, as we were chatting on the pre-show, when I brought that up, was because I'm doing rough drafts and moving and shifting things as the year goes by.
Right.
It's pretty high up there right now for me.
Yeah.
And, like, my top 3 or 4 is a case of,
those are all so good.
It can be any one of these.
Right.
Now, off from a Game of the Year to a possible mobile port, I honestly don't know.
Okay.
I started playing a game called Bomber Crew.
Okay.
Which, this is one of the reasons I love Game Pass. Because this is an Xbox Game Pass game that I just saw the cover art, thought, let's have a look. Let's just see what this game is.
Yeah. And
do you remember, we talk about it frequently, how video games are essentially merging into one game. Like, first-person shooters are now role-playing games. Role-playing games are now first-person shooters, and blah, blah, blah.
With loot systems and light RPGs.
Yes.
Yep.
Let me tell you all about this, and I wrote this description down so I could say it correctly.
Okay.
This objective-based ship management simulation with roguelike elements.
Oh, okay. That sounds good.
So, essentially, you are a bomber plane during the World War II period.
Okay.
It has really cute art styles. Do me a favor and pull up the just it's just called Bomber Crew.
Bomber Crew.
It's got the cutest art style. Like, it's the old school, like, slightly pixelated, like, cute Minecraft looking.
Let me switch monitors here so people on the stream can see it.
Okay. It's got a really cutesy and cartoony art style to it. It's genuinely just... It reminds me a little bit of... I'm trying to think. What's the game dev story?
Yeah.
So it's a bit like that, except it's not a game studio. It's a bombing plane that you upgrade. You go out, you do missions, but on the way out of doing missions, you have the crew. You have to assign the crew to the jobs that suit them the best. These guys are gunners, this guy's an engineer, this guy's the pilot. When you go on a mission, you tell the pilot to take off, you tell him to raise the landing gear. You have to basically do very, very simple controls of a plane. So it's
like the real high level stuff?
Yeah, so raise the landing gear, lower the landing gear. You go in this turret, you go in that turret, that kind of stuff.
Right.
As you're flying around, it's a third-person perspective on the plane, and then you basically look down sights to target, like, fighters that are coming in, or your navigation officer is like, oh, we need to go that direction, so you highlight the navigation beacon, and then the plane starts to turn towards that direction.
Right.
You take damage, you get hurt, you have a med bay. If one of your crew dies, then they're done. Like, they are dead.
Almost like a little bit like FTL.
Yes, except you cannot pause the game. That's the biggest problem, because you can be getting shot at by 5 different jets for 5 different planes at the same time as you've got to put the bomber into the bombing position, arm the bombs, open the bay doors, drop the bombs at the right time.
Wow.
And then close the bomb doors, so it becomes very much like Overcooked, where there's always just one more thing going on that you can easily manage.
It's just like one too many spinning plates.
Yeah, but not in a negative way. It becomes like a very fun challenge of, is this gunner good enough to handle this by himself while I'm busy doing something else and I don't have to worry about it? And so far, I'm not going to lie, I'm having an absolute blast with it.
It looks good. I just looked up, it's on PC, Xbox One, and PS4.
Yeah, it's currently in the Xbox's Game Pass program, and I literally just downloaded it on a whim, and it's been my go-to, I've got 20 minutes, I can do a mission or two here kind of game this week, because you just jump in. It's really, really, really dumb, because you unlock, as you do missions, you get research points that automatically unlock stuff as you go. So new paint styles, new upgrades for your pilots. You can change how they're dressed. You can give them like O2 tanks and different upgrades to their equipment. You can change the logos on the wings of the plane. You can write your own text on it. My plane is called the Bicky Wiki because during the trailer, during the trailer for the game, it shows one plane is called Tea Time and the other one is called Tea and Crumpets.
Nice.
And I was like, well, I've got to go British.
Right.
What can I do? And Bicky Wiki is... that's from a show called 2 Pints of Lager and a Packet of Crisps, where a guy does a rap song about how much he loves biscuits.
Great.
And he refers to a girl as his Bicky Wiki.
Nice.
So, because he loves biscuits.
This game is only $15, and I just looked, and it's also out on Switch, which is where I might pick it up.
Oh, that's, you know what? If they have touch controls as well, that might be perfect for it, because it's a little fiddly getting used to the crew controls, like figuring out how to assign everybody and who you have highlighted to put them in the right station.
Right.
So if that game has touch controls as well, and it is on Switch, go for the Switch version. It's not resource intensive, it's very cartoony, so the Switch should be able to breezily handle that thing.
Oh, this is by the same publisher that published Velocity 2X and Flame in the Flood. I knew I recognized Curve Digital from somewhere.
Yep. And just like Flame in the Flood, it is a completely out of nowhere, I really actually enjoy this game a lot kind of game.
That looks cool.
But yeah, go give it a try. If you're on Game Pass, just literally you can go and install it and try it out.
Yep. Go try out Bomber Crew.
I can't. I'm so surprised how good it is.
Yeah.
Let's talk about my final game this week, aka the Let's Transition the Game Over to Boston game.
Okay, I can already cross one out of my list then.
Yep. Because this is the game that I know you've been playing, and I know I've been playing, and I know we have a lot to say about this. So let's talk about Dead Cells.
I wish I put more time into this game this week. I haven't, and I'm kind of grumpy about it because I was explaining it to, I think, T-Bomb Rocks on Discord. It's one of those games that as soon as you start controlling it, I know I'm in trouble. Like, as soon as I start playing, I'm like, I'm going to lose a lot of time to this game. Crap.
We talked about this on Twitter as well. We had a little conversation on Twitter about this.
Yeah.
This game has the tightest control scheme I've ever seen since Symphony of Night, in my opinion.
It feels so good.
Yeah. And for those wondering, like, how can you compare that kind of game? To give you an idea, you can cancel out of an attack with one weapon with a different weapon.
Yep.
You can cancel both of those with a dodge. You can cancel everything with a jump or a roll. Like, everything is so crisp and so smooth. Just controlling this game is insanely fun.
Yeah.
Like, never mind all the rest of it. Never mind the art style or anything like that. Just the input between you and the actual game itself is just so satisfying.
Yeah.
To just nail that kind of stuff.
A skewed one in chat says, I can't completely find my flow with Dead Cells. I love how it controls and everything else, but I can't always nail it down. I'm in the same, like, early game phase too, where it's like, I know what I need to do. Like, I know I should have rolled away when that enemy was attacking me, because he had the exclamation point above his head. That's just not second nature yet.
Yeah, good thing to keep in mind for this game, something that I think Brad Shoemaker pointed it out, is you touching enemies does not hurt you.
Right.
So don't be afraid to go through people as well.
Yeah.
Especially rolling past people. Like, there are some enemies I still mess things up with, like specifically the shield guys.
Yeah.
I always mistime their hits because it just becomes, you're so used to not touching people, not getting right up in the face of enemies, just backing away. So it just becomes a case of learning the way the enemies attack, learning the way they move, and the more you play, the more you'll start to understand it. Something else as well with that, it could be your unlocks. Because the big thing about Dead Cells is it's a run-based game, which means essentially it's a roguelike.
Yep.
So the big thing for me that I was interested in this game, I liked it, I really liked it, and then I found my loadout.
Okay.
Then I found the thing that allowed me to understand the game better. It's a very Isaac moment where you're doing good, you're having fun, but then you feel like you're hitting a wall, then you pick up one item, and it changes the entire game.
Your whole flow chart changes.
Yep, and then all of a sudden you think, okay, now I can do this, now I can do that, and then you use that progress to start getting better with other weapons.
I feel like in Dead Cells, one of the first aha moments is the turrets are really good moment, where it's like,
yep.
Oh, okay. It can do its thing, I can do my... Okay, alright, Dead Cells, cool.
Don't be afraid to embrace the traps, the turrets, the grenades.
Yep.
They make a huge difference. Usually when I fail out on a run, it's because I've been an idiot and very basically not use them at all.
Yeah.
That's what costs me, generally speaking, on a run. To give you guys an idea, what the loadout that changed it for me was, my main weapon was the Assassin's Blade, which is a weapon that it automatically does a critical attack when you hit someone from behind.
Cool.
So, rolling through somebody while they're swinging at you, getting behind them, and instantly you're doing 150 to 200% damage.
Whew.
So, 5-hit monster is now going down in 2 hits.
Nice.
So, that helped a lot. And then I got the freeze ray, or the freeze spell.
Okay.
where you basically do a Hadouken motion, and it's cool because it does a very Sub-Zero thing where he does the gathering of ice and then sprays it out and freezes anybody in front of him who are they're frozen, so you literally roll through them and then attack them from behind.
Yeah.
With the Assassin's Blade, while someone is frozen, it's not a game breaker, but it's a run maker.
Yeah, it's that great moment in roguelikes where you're not only figuring out what sort of loadout you prefer, but also figuring out how to game the game as much as you can.
Yeah.
A skewed one in chat says, traps and anything that freezes are must-haves for my loadout. I've started to compare Dead Cells to Binding of Isaac, where Dead Cells is Castlevania and Isaac is the Zelda dungeons. I feel like that's a good comparison, yeah.
Yeah. The big thing for me is the Castlevania nature is the slight exploration. Like, I think it's got a little bit of exploration, but honestly, I think this game is a combat game.
Yeah.
It's all about that combat, the loadouts, the weapons, the combat, the how you operate on it.
Not about puzzles. It's not about finding the exit and all that.
Yeah, it's not about equipping this imp so he can fly into that corner and push that button so you can get into the secret area.
Aha! A switch!
The question is, Boston, is what is a man?
I don't know. It's my first day here.
Okay. So you said you barely played it.
Yeah.
Have you faced a boss yet?
No, I only have a handful of runs under my belt, and I'm still in the early days of, oh man, I can't believe that thing hit me. I should have done X, Y, or Z to get out of the way.
Yeah, so you know about the collector, the guy who you spend the cells with to get the permanent upgrades and stuff like that. Health potion is a must.
That's the first one I bought.
And just so you know, that's not a one-time use per run. That's a one-time use per level. Because every time you run past the collector, he has a potion machine behind him that you can refill
that's what that
potion
does.
on. So don't be afraid to use that potion on every single level if you are running low on health.
Yeah, and I've heard you can upgrade the number of charges you have per level later too.
Yep, I currently have a two swig potion.
Nice.
So I'm doing pretty good on that. There's about 5 or 6 things I've unlocked that I literally don't want to tell you about.
Okay.
Because it's kind of the really cool moments. Let's just say there are alternate paths through the levels.
The gates?
Nope.
Okay.
The time gates are very interesting. They are basically rewards for going fast, but they are also hindrances, because if you're taking your time exploring an area, you're going to get a whole bunch of scrolls which you can upgrade each of your 3 classes with. The time gates, you have to sacrifice the exploration and collecting those scrolls to make it to those time gates.
Right.
And every single level has one of those gates.
Okay.
So if you finish the first level within 2 minutes and get to the end, you can get that first one. Then the second level you need to beat within 5 minutes total to get to that one.
Oh, wow.
And then the third level you need to beat within 8 minutes to get to that time gate.
Some real spelunky stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
But in the process of playing the game, you unlock better starting items, you unlock better survivability.
Right.
So it becomes that Isaac thing that me and you discussed like way back when, of me wanting to blow up every single rock, kill every single enemy,
right,
do everything in every single room, to no, I've got 20 minutes to get to boss rush, so I am going to literally fly through this game until I get to boss rush.
Right.
Like, it becomes that really, really good. The balance of unlocks in the game versus the rewards you're going to get from one of the time gates.
Right.
The thing I would say is, when you first start, work on unlocking the starter gear permanent upgrades.
Yeah, that seems like it has the most bang for the buck in the early game, because you get such a huge advantage immediately after you respawn.
Yep. and some of those items can be game changers.
Okay.
Like I started off a run today that I did, which is the furthest run I ever got, that started with the Assassin's Blade and the Frost Beam.
Mm-hmm.
So immediately I started with the two items which I am most comfortable with breezing through the game with.
Right.
I made it the furthest I've ever made it with that loadout. But the big thing with this game is each item has rarity tiers. Like, you might unlock the... Let's say you unlock the Assassin's Blade.
Mm-hmm.
When you pick that up in the starter room, it's going to be the Assassin's Blade 1. By the time you get to the third or fourth map screen, you might be looking at picking up items which are version 5.
Okay.
Damage output is higher, so you take this risk-reward thing of comfort of the build you have versus damage you can output with.
Right.
So it becomes a very interesting... Again, get your flowcharts ready, folks, because it's that kind of game. So far today, I unlocked my second redacted thing,
Mm-hmm.
which allows me more options as you go. And probably my favorite thing so far in the game is each level essentially has 2 options. So you can go the easy level way, or you can go the hard level way.
Oh, yeah, I've seen some of that, yeah.
So the risk reward there again changes again, and then you also... Enemies drop different blueprints, which when you give them to the collector, unlocks them to be purchased and they permanently unlocked in your game option. So this game has got a lot.
Yeah.
Like, it's super deep, and I've put like 10 hours into it this week alone, and I just want to stop. I just want to go downstairs and I just want to continue playing Dead Cells.
Yeah, just one more run.
Yes, it very much has. It has that feel to it.
Right.
That Isaac thing where it's like, no, I can go one more time. And then before you know it, you're 2 hours into a run. It's like, oh, okay, so this is what a good run feels like.
All right. I've seen so much of this game.
Yeah. And I really haven't.
Yeah.
Because of course.
Visited by Louise. Dimebag in chat asks, so is Dead Cells worth getting? I would say early on, yes, unless you hate roguelikes. Like, if that's not a genre you like, this isn't... I think, like Skewed One said, this is the more on the Castlevania side, but it's still a roguelike. It's not like a Castlevania with... It's not like a Metrovania with roguelike elements. It is... a roguelite with a little bit of exploration.
Yeah, and it's all about the combat. Like, here's a good example. Did you play Mark of the Ninja? Did you like that feel, which is another game that nailed controls from day one?
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you like that kind of the Ninja Gaiden thing of if you mess up, it is usually your fault?
Right.
Or you didn't understand this particular enemy, or you didn't, look at the attack patterns, or you underestimated somebody. Like, you've got to be prepared to not restart from a save point if you mess it up, but to restart from scratch.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you make progress every single time you make a run. Every single time you do something, you are getting further into starting stronger and getting further again. It's really tough because it's like, do you like the combat games? Yes. Do you like roguelikes? No. It might be for you.
Yeah, it might be a good introduction to roguelikes. Well,
yeah.
I feel like one of the things, one of the foundational things they did in the game that I think is really interesting and could potentially ease a lot of frustrations that people have with roguelikes is the collector in between levels. Like Moon said, you're always giving him cells that you're collecting in the level. I like that you have to spend all of your cells to continue on, and if you're only putting 3 cells into an item that takes 15 cells to unlock, that's fine. Those 3 cells are always going to stay in that item that you're trying to unlock. So even if you have a terrible run where you only make it to the 2nd level, that's fine. You might have put 7 cells into something you're trying to unlock, so you're at least making some sort of progress nearly every run, and I think that's a really smart system.
Yeah, it does a really good job with that because, for example, like I'm in the process of trying to unlock something that's 260 cells to permanently unlock it.
Okay.
And it sounds scary, but that collector appears at the end of every single level.
Yeah.
So every level you go in, every level you're there, he's there to allow you to spend those cells. And then I got a blueprint, which was like for a different weapon. So it's like, that weapon sounds really cool. And I've got 32 cells, so I'm just going to spend the 30 to unlock the weapon and then dump the other 2 into the things that I'm doing long term.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So you can work on unlocking more serious upgrades while at the same time unlocking the little things too.
Sure.
Like,
that's such a smart system.
It's a very quick, nice and easy little change around technique where it's like, oh, I don't want this one now. I've changed my mind. I want this other thing. That's okay.
Yeah.
That progress will be there when you're ready for it.
I feel like that, between that and the controls, I feel like Dead Cells is one of the few success stories we've had coming from Steam Early Access, where the game apparently was really good early days, and then they just kept polishing it and refining it and smoothing the edges and taking player feedback and doing all of the stuff that you really want to see out of early access. And then when it sort of graduates to full release, it's this really densely packed, very tight, really great game on launch for people like us that waited, or if you've been there since the beginning, it's this hugely transformative title.
Yeah, and I mean, to be honest, like, even when this thing first went into early access, wasn't this one of those games where it's like, okay, so you're releasing this in like a month, aren't you? Because
yeah, like it feels it's already done, right, guys?
Yeah. So
Dimebag in Twitch chat says, I've put over 50 hours in Enter the Gungeon since the sale and feels like I'm barely scratching the surface. That's the stuff I love so much about these games. You know, sort of like you were talking about with Vermintide 2, where even if you play these games like that's your Saturday game, where it's like, I'm going to put 2 hours in every Saturday. I like that you could spend 50 hours in it and still, like, you're making progress both with your flowchart and in the game.
Mm-hmm.
But then every time, you know, like we saw this time and time again during the Binding of Isaac, we're sort of like, I'm doing really well, and then it sort of unfolds again. It's just like, oh no, I've been a fool.
Yep.
Like there's so much more in this game.
Yeah, what is it? Things just got harder.
Everything is terrible.
Everything is terrible, and then everything is terrible
now
too.
I have 2 more floors to explore. Now I have all this stuff. You know, like Enter the Gungeon, when you find out that you can... There's like additional floors after the boss and additional endings that you can do for characters. It's like, oh my god, there's so much stuff in this game.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think the best-in-class examples of this kind of game have that, where there is items and paths that you can clearly see. Like, if you're a Vania fan, which something tells me you might be a Vania fan.
A little bit, yeah.
A little bit. So there are things in that game when you first start that you will see, you will run into, and you will think, well, clearly I can't do this yet because I need X.
Yeah, like there was a section where I could see a doorway sort of at the top of this set of platforms. Very clear that I needed like a wall jump or a triangle jump or something to get up there, and I was like, you're just pulling me in deeper. Like I just...
And the best thing is that those are permanent upgrades that you get.
Oh, are those the rune unlocks?
Yes. So
that's a good system, man.
And you unlock them by exploring different paths, different areas, getting further in the map.
That's so good.
Like, the rune number 1 that you get allows you to unlock rune number 2.
Smart.
So... That's all I can say, because I have only literally on the last run I did before I came up here today, I unlocked rune number 2, thinking, finally, I've been wondering where this thing has been for like 10 hours now.
Right. And that's where we're seeing some of that light Metroidvania stuff, where that's not the focus. Clearly the combat and manipulating the run is, but it's cool icing on top of that cake.
And it gets even better because there are so many secrets in this game. And I'm going to spoil one of them.
Sure.
Just one of them here. I accidentally jumped, like I did, let's just talk about the ground pound, which is probably one of my...
Between the ground pound and kicking doors open, like, every time that feels so satisfying.
Yep. So I did the ground pound and hit the floor, and this little blue rune lit up. Like, directly under me. Kind of like if you found a bit of wall turkey, you will know exactly what type of rune I'm talking about.
Right.
And I was like, well, I can't attack down. What's going on? And then it popped up, RB to interact with the rune. I was like,
interesting.
Okay. So I touched it, and it popped up, and a big rift appeared behind me.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, what is that? It's like, oh, you've unlocked a challenge rift.
Oh, no.
You go into this rift, there is a big chest, and then a ghost appears and says, just so you know, if you open that chest, this door closes, and you have to go out that way.
Oh, wow, okay.
And literally in camera shot, you can see walls of spikes, and spinning balls of death,
oh, no.
platforms, and everything else. And I have to ask, have you interacted with the cursed chest yet?
No, I haven't run across one, I don't think. Oh, man.
I can't wait, because it's so good.
I feel like that's one of those great moments that you have in Isaac. I hadn't entered the dungeon. I feel like I'm going to have in this game where, like, you find your first secret room, and you're just like,
yep.
Oh, no, those are in here, too? Oh, no.
But that's the problem now, is I found about this challenge rift thing, and I was like, there probably is one of these on every single run, at least, if not one on every single map.
Yeah, exactly.
How do I find these things?
Right. Oh, God. I want to play more Dead Cells.
It's really, really good.
Yeah.
And that is a cat attacking a bottle because the cats forced their doors open. So if you hear that little bloop, 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 bloop.
Oh, Louise.
Actually, that one was Sherlock.
Oh, Sherlock.
But yeah, Dead Cells is... I need to stop talking about it because otherwise I will just spoil everything for you. And I literally want to say as little as possible.
Right. That's your last game, right?
Yes, that is my last game.
I saw every once in a while I like looking at on iOS the App Store usually has, like, every day, every other day, they'll have a list of, like, top 5 games we're in love with right now. And I look through the list, and usually it's games we've heard of before. And I'm always on the lookout for new puzzle games, especially new word puzzle games. I really like those. Mm-hmm. And there's this trend in word puzzle games right now that is, you're basically on the bottom half of the screen, you're playing word search, and you're filling in a crossword puzzle on the top. And it's basically like, here's 5 letters on the bottom, put those together in all the different combinations to fill in the crossword at the top.
What was that game? I can't remember what that game was. There was a game that came out with exactly that kind of build, that kind of thing, but I can't remember what it was called.
Oh, anyway. On 360?
No, on iPhone and iOS. Okay. It was a while ago, but I can't remember what it was called.
So, I like a lot of these games. I never get that deep into them because I feel like at some point they turn, like, the mask comes off and there's, like, the free-to-play demon underneath where it's like, to continue playing, buy more coins. I tried one called Letter Fridge, and this seemed like a really cool idea, which is on the bottom of the screen, you have a fridge and you have all those magnetized letters.
Okay.
And then on the top, it's the normal crossword. I thought that was a cool idea and I thought it was a cool conceit until I started to play it. And most of these, you, like, draw a line between the letters or you tap on the letters in order and it spells the word.
Yeah.
This one, you have to drag the letters around the screen and, like, get them lined up just so next to each other. But they also have collision. So, like...
Tell me you can knock letters off the fridge.
Not that I've found, but, like, you're trying to get this one letter around to spell cat, because you just spelled act, and, like, you move it, and then next thing you know, you've pushed a letter all the way off to the other screen, and it's a cool idea, and it's a neat thematic setting for a game like that it immediately doesn't pay off. Like it just, it's one of those things, like, not to be mean, it just is not fun to play when that's your only system in the game is spelling words.
Yeah.
So I was excited to find another one of these games, and this one just didn't pan out at all.
That sucks.
Yeah. I have been playing a lot of Destiny 2 again this week.
Wait, what?
Yeah,
Hold on.
I'm so close. So I have
2 down, 1 to go? Does this ring a bell?
Yes, 2 down, 1 to go. So 2 characters are done. I have my hunter left to go. I have 1 mission to run, and then I'll get I'll get her blue armor set, and then that'll be the last set of challenges for me to do. And then I'll be done with all 3. I'll get my super cool limited edition ship. I will get also along that time, I will get the exotic PvE ship, because I've leveled up. You have to do a lot of strikes throughout all these challenges, and that has gotten me enough tokens to get up to that point.
So, like, out of curiosity, do we need to do a Destiny intervention with you? Like
no, because I'm pretty sick of playing Destiny 2 right now. So, like, it's a positive and a negative. So, my main is my Warlock, and I like how the Warlocks play. I like all 3 of their supers. I like their talent trees, quote-unquote trees, since they screwed them up based on from Destiny 1 to Destiny 2. I like the jumping, the movement. That class clicks with me.
Yeah, Titan or nothing.
Yeah. But what I really like about Solstice of Heroes is I'm getting a lot of time doing every activity in the game with both of my other 2 classes. So
yeah, so you're rounding out and figuring out what you perform best as in these other roles.
Yeah, and I'm also, like, I'm getting some good time with those classes to sort of say, like, all right, I actually do like the Titan when I'm throwing flaming hammers that explode and make my enemies explode. Like,
of course you went with the flaming hammer. Why wouldn't you go with the flaming hammer?
It's so cool. I also like
ground pound, dude. The ground pound
that's my least favorite. Like, number 1 is flaming hammers, number 2 is Captain America, number 3 is ground pound.
I just love the ground pound one because literally you jump off the tallest thing you can and you hit that button and you come down out of the sky.
Your hands above your head, like, rah!
Yeah. That's my favorite.
It is greatly improved in Destiny 2, though, because you can do multiple pounds, which is really satisfying. There's also the new arc tree in Forsaken for Titans. You can turn yourself into with your melee. While you're running, you can just jump and turn yourself into an arc rocket that will just sail through the sky and, like, dive bomb your enemies.
Of course.
It's so good. But I'm really enjoying playing the other characters and getting my experiences there. I'm pretty sick of running these missions, especially since I'm doing them solo. I've now done them 1, 2, 3, 4. This is my 5th time I'm doing the missions, and I have to do them once again. They're super short because I now know them by heart.
Yes,
but it's a little bit. You know it's coming, but it's still a slog.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited to be done with it. I'm excited, and I feel very accomplished that I've done all this stuff. I'm so ready for August 28th for this new patch. Because they just detailed what's changing in Destiny 2, and this isn't a Destiny podcast, so I won't break it down. The long and the short of it is literally everything. They are...
Oh, they're pulling a Destiny 1 again.
But they're changing everything. Where Destiny 1 ended up really great, and Destiny 2 started out really poorly, they're re-implementing so many systems that were positive in Destiny 1 and carrying them a little bit further in the positive direction.
Yeah.
And then some stuff that has been really bad or needed a pretty big overhaul in Destiny 2, Year 1, half of the stuff they're just getting rid of, which is awesome. And the other half, they are seriously retooling to be way better. Like, I can't think of a system or a vendor or anything that they aren't touching. And nearly everything is positive. There are a couple things where it's sort of like, oh, okay, on paper that seems interesting, but I sort of want to wait until I get my hands on it. But it's nice to see Bungie finally listening to people and doing the things we've been asking for, but in the right way. Instead of being like, you guys said you wanted more of X, Y, and Z, and we did it. It's like, yeah, but you did it the wrong way. Like, this is not the way we wanted. So that's really exciting, but I will need those, like, 2 weeks of a break before the 20th drops. And I'm really happy they finally got their messaging down, because this patch lands on the 28th, and then Forsaken unlocks on the September 4th. Mm-hmm. That week between, the game is just going to be half borked, just because it's in transition from pre-Forsaken and then Forsaken, where like a bunch of stuff, you can't pull stuff out of your collection or your vault anymore because they've redone the collection, but it won't be available until the 4th.
I mean, it's a very clever thing for them to drop that patch the week before the DLC and resolve any bugs you got.
Yeah, because, man, it's gonna be half broken for that week. Yeah. And it looks like there's gonna be a farewell mission for Cade 6 too. Some people have been delving in the database again. So it seems like there's gonna be some stuff wrapping up potentially Cade 6 and his kid, which will be pretty cool.
Is his kid called Cade 6.5?
No, his kid is probably long gone, because in the lore he's probably a couple 100 years old. Okay. So, and his family wasn't a robot like he is, so they're probably super gone. But it's nice to see Bungie come out and put out a post that says, during this week, this list of things will be broken in exactly this way. Yeah. It's all fine. Just wait until the 4th. It's like, thank you. Because
I bet you so many people didn't read that, and I bet you so many people still complain.
100%. When the patch lands on the 28th, it will the first question is, why is this patch so big? Because it contains Forsaken. Yes. Number 2 is, why is my install re-verifying itself?
Because it contains Forsaken.
Because it's a giant patch, and they want to make sure the base is secure before they put the patch on. And it's like, why can't I pull out emblems? Etc., etc., etc. So that stuff's going to happen. But it's nice to see, instead of the patch landing on the 28th and on the 30th, they're like, oh yeah, here's all the things that's not going to work for the next couple days. So it's Joe J in a YouTube chat says, just when you think you're out, they pull you back in again.
Yep.
Yeah, man, it's my love-hate relationship with Destiny. I feel like if you're still sticking with Destiny, you sort of love it and hate it in equal amounts.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, it is... No. I'm not even going to say it. It's the relationship with the game that you absolutely hate but cannot stop at the same time.
Yeah. And it's still... I still maintain that this is a fun game to play.
Oh, I've said that from day one.
Yep.
Mechanically, that game is just like Destiny 1 from day one.
Yep.
Those games are mechanically amazing.
It feels so good to shoot those aliens.
Mm-hmm.
It's just everything around it they have struggled for so long to get right. But yeah, enough about Destiny 2. I will... Come this time next month, I will be talking a lot about Forsaken. So
yeah, and we'll see you next week for your 3 out of 3 wrap up.
Yes, I'm excited. I'm excited to put this behind me, and the main reason I'm doing it is because number one, I like that ship, but number two, in Destiny, I love collecting as much stuff as I can in the game, and the fact that this is easily obtainable with time, to me, and they give us like a little bit over a month, that's perfect for me, because I can put in a little bit of time every day and make progress. That's the sort of stuff I'm looking for. So
it's the best free-to-play game model.
Yeah.
You can get these. It will take time.
Yep. Yeah, just put in the time. Last game I've been playing is, I was talking about those iOS lists where it's like, here's the 5 roguelikes we like right now.
Yep.
One of the games on the list, it is, I think, $2 or $3, so it's cheap. It's called Sir Questionnaire. It is not a good name, but the way they describe it, I don't think is right. How I describe it is it's a two-choice roguelike. So what it is you have a little character on the screen, and you're moving through a dungeon, and you basically go into a room, and it presents you with something, an enemy, a treasure chest, a locked door, or something like that. At any time, you only get two choices. A lot of times it's like attack or escape. Sometimes it's like drink from the, potentially fishy looking pool of water, or just walk out the room. It's all turn-based combat. It all has, damage and health numbers on the top of the screen in a log format. I've played a lot of this game this past week. Because once you get the basics down, it's actually a really fast game, because the flowchart you're making in your brain isn't terribly complex or complicated. A lot of times, if you have enough health and your run is going smoothly, you walk into a room and you see a suspicious pool of water, don't drink it. You're just going to screw up your run. Like, it's going to turn you blind, and then you can't see anything for the next 6 or 7 rooms. Like, that's not going to work for anybody.
Yeah.
I think the strongest point of this game is that it's simple. You only have those two choices. The third button is your inventory. All of that stuff is really clear. Like, here are shields, here are swords. This class is better at magic than using weapons. There's really no storyline to be spoken of. It's when you die, you can just hit retry and just start a whole nother run again. Like, it feels right for the platform, and it feels great as a very small roguelike. I was
going to say, is this like the most introductionary roguelikes?
Yeah, I feel like it might be, because there's nothing like Isaac, where Isaac isn't really like a Twitch action game, but it's still an action game.
Yeah.
This is very much a turn-based game. Like, if you don't pick a choice, nothing is going to happen until you make a choice or attack an enemy or something like that.
Yeah.
I genuinely really like it. It's like $2 or $3. It's by a company named Orange Pixel, I think. It's just a one-person dev. It's really great. It's called Sir Questionnaire, and it after playing it for a little bit, it sort of graduated to my home screen on my phone, because usually it'll be like 2 or 3 pages back from where I first started, and be like, all right, I'll play it a little bit, and either it gets deleted or gets sort of moved out of the archives, and it's sort of front and center.
It slowly makes its way to the front page.
Yeah, exactly. So it's sort of front and center now. So I think for me that sort of says it all.
Yeah.
But we've been recording for a real long time, and that's all I've been playing, so let's take a break.
Yep.
let's talk releases for the week of August 13th. Cosmic Star Heroine is coming out on the Switch, which seems like a cool platform for it.
I don't even know what that game is.
That's the team that did the Cthulhu games and the 3rd and 4th Penny Arcade games.
Okay.
That's their Phantasy Star game, basically.
Oh, okay.
It's supposed to be really good. I think it's on our Game Club list, as my voice cracks. So, one of these years we'll get around to playing it. World of Warcraft Battle for Azeroth comes out on PC.
Bye every single person who likes to play WoW.
Yeah, it seems like this is after I get the impression the last expansion was not super well received, so it seems like this is a bit of a redemption story for Blizzard, and people other than the storyline shenanigans that are going on right now, it seems like it's a really cool expansion. So.
Yep. I did, I can't remember if it was you, but I did love that letter. It might have been my wife retweeted a letter. Somebody wrote to his wife.
Oh, yeah, like, I'm going to disappear. Please don't take it personally.
The PC room will be lived in.
Yeah, I liked that term. So. I was like, yeah, that's a good marketing spin for it.
Yep.
It will smell bad in this room, so please don't come in.
Sounds a lot better than poop sock.
Exactly, yeah. Read Only Memories comes out on the Switch, which might be the platform I pick it up on. That seems I have it on PS4, I think, but that seems like probably the best place. Like that or Vita seems like it'd be a great place to play. But last but not least, The Walking Dead: The Final Season, Episode 1 comes out PC, PS4, and Xbox One.
Yep. I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of excited about this. Also, I totally still need to play Season 3.
I've only played Season 1. I didn't even play that expansion that bridges Season 1 and Season 2.
400 Days.
Yeah.
What that's called?
Something like that. 500 Days of Summer.
Yeah. Season 1 is one of the best video games stories, in my opinion. I know it seems the more that thing has aged, the more people seem to be hating it.
That's unfortunate.
I still love that first season.
Yeah.
That first season is still so good to me. Season 2 is okay. From what I've seen of Season 3, it looks kind of cool. And I'm not gonna lie, I just want to see the Clem's full story.
Yeah, once everything will be done. Mm-hmm. It's like, all right, Breaking Bad has aired the series finale. Now I can start watching it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right, let's move into news stories. This first one is... We're going to talk about the two sides of Bethesda this week. The first one... This is such a weird news story. And I'm really bummed that they're sticking to their guns on this. Basically, this guy goes onto Amazon Marketplace with a sealed copy of The Evil Within 2 and goes to sell it and marks it as new, which you do because it hasn't been opened yet.
Yep, it is as new.
Right,
essentially.
It's a new copy of this game. No one has broken the plastic on it.
Yep.
Bethesda sent that individual person a cease and desist letter because they claim this person isn't an authorized reseller. So him selling a new game is against the law. So there's a lot to unpack here, and a lot of it is stupid.
Speaking of arguments over semantics...
Right. So they're basically saying you can't mark it as new because you, as a person, aren't a company that can resell games.
Yep. And you did not receive authorization from us to sell this game, so therefore it cannot be marked as new.
Right. And he's saying, I haven't opened it. It's just a new game. I'm just trying to sell this game that I got and didn't open and don't want or need anymore, so I'm putting it on the Amazon Marketplace like you do.
Yep. That's the best thing is if he would have put it on eBay, it literally says, as new.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
So 2 letters makes the difference between a cease and desist order or not.
Yeah, like legalese is very specific. He even brought up the U.S. law of first sale doctrine, which is basically, I purchase something new, I can sell this thing again. That's really not a problem. Bethesda pushed back on this, which is still crazy because they're claiming the game is, quote, materially different from genuine products, end quote. Which again is crazy. So QuakeCon happened this last week. So Eurogamer talked to Pete Hines, the senior VP of marketing communications at Bethesda, and said, like, hey dude, what are you guys doing? Like,
yeah.
And Pete Hines,
please tell me his response was, what's this? I don't know about this.
No, he stuck to his guns. He said, quote, he's not trying to sell a secondhand game, he's trying to sell a new game. He was listening to the product as it's new. And he's claiming that this guy could have unsealed this, taken the DLC slips out of it, or like redeemed the DLC, factory sealed it again, and then sold it as new.
Yeah, because we've all got factory sealing machines at home.
Yeah, like I've got one here behind me. Like, and to hear that they're still sticking to their guns is, 1, ludicrous.
Yep.
And 2, could potentially set a damaging legal precedent for reselling items. Not even just video games, but reselling items on, like you said, places like eBay or Amazon Marketplace, where if I purchase something that is new from a person, I expect that to be new in original packaging.
Yeah.
That's what that term means.
Yeah, it's the old collector's definition of like valuing items based on their condition of them.
Right.
If it's a new item, it is considered to be literally factory sealed.
Yep. It still has, like, you know, in the PS2 days, still has that little strip on the top of it that you peel off, you know, like...
In the Nintendo 64 days, it had Nintendo printed along that strip.
That's right. Oh, man, I forgot about that. That was cool. So... I'm really disappointed, and the guy pulled down the listing because, of course, he doesn't want to get sued, because Bethesda said, like, hey, either pull this down or we're serving you with a lawsuit, which, again, is insane. So, of course, he pulled it down, but, like...
If I was him, I'm not going to lie, I would throw that thing up on eBay quicker than you can, and then promote it, because guarantee you he got some Twitter action about this.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
I want to see the fans come out and support this guy, have him put that on eBay, marked as new, and let's see how much he can get for a copy of the Evil Within. Yeah,
but Bethesda C&D edition, like put a tape to it, the cease and desist. Well, and like realistically, for anyone asking that's listening, like what should he have done? He probably, if he really wanted to fight it, which I don't know if the juice is worth a squeeze on this one, but unless he got served with an actual lawsuit, he could have contacted the EFF, the Electronic Frontier Foundation, who more than likely would have taken on a potentially impactful case like this pro bono, just to
set precedent.
Yeah, like to use their resources to set a precedent against this insanity that Bethesda has come up with, and disappointingly has continued to bark about. So
yeah, he needs to stick that thing up on eBay literally with a photocopy of that letter attached to it. I'd be like, this is the, like you said, call it the cease and desist edition.
Yep. Yeah, just take a permanent marker to his address and then ship it out. Be $10,000 richer. But then I
wouldn't put it past him.
Yeah, but then on the other side of the coin, good Bethesda, not like, you know, in the Jekyll and Hyde, this is the good one. Bethesda is insisting that Elder Scrolls Legends, the progress will carry over between games regardless of platform.
That's good.
What's really interesting is they're saying that their expectations, quote, are essentially non-negotiable, end quote.
So this thing isn't coming out on the PlayStation 4, is what we're learning.
Well, here's what's really interesting is they say they're going to, and it's going to be cross-save or cross-progression or whatever term we want to use nowadays.
Cross-platform.
Yeah. Well, I don't think there's PvP, so cross-platform, not cross-play. Right.
Not cross-platform play, just cross-platform.
Yeah, cross-platform. Boy, video game terms suck.
Yep.
It's a console exclusive, but for only 3 months. That sort of thing.
Console launch world exclusive.
Yeah, exactly. What's really interesting is they're not naming Sony by name, but they're very clearly saying, like, if a platform holder is going to block us from making this work, we're still gonna do it. So it's interesting to see, because I've seen a lot of people online say, why would it be worth drawing their line in the sand for something like Elder Scrolls Legends? And to me, it's because Bethesda is just big enough.
Yeah, and Legends, I think, is a game that's small enough from a big enough company where they can get away with the loss of revenue on that game.
Yeah, it's not Fallout 76, where they're like,
yeah,
look, if we can't do cross-platform, cross-play across platforms, Fallout 76 isn't going to come out to PS4. That would be a really great statement that their shareholders would hate.
Yeah, they can't afford to lose the amount of money that one would bring in.
Exactly.
But with this, they can afford to take that hit in revenue.
Yep.
Because this isn't going to be a 20 million seller.
No.
This is going to be a microtransaction. You get little bits and pieces as you go. And especially if you can release it on phones, PC, Xbox, and all of the other platforms all at the same time, they're not going to feel that hit from the PlayStation as much as they would with a game that's only going to come out on 3 platforms.
Yeah, and what this article says is between PC, OS X, iOS, and Android, it's already cross-platform right now. So your progression stays with your Bethesda.net account, and it just sort of works with everything, which to me is the one positive of every publisher and every developer having their own infrastructure, is when they get around to games like this and the upcoming Skyrim Blades, I think it's called. That will use your Bethesda Net account too, and that'll just carry over between all these different platforms. They were shown VR and iPhone and all that stuff. That's a really good system, but for them, it's also a really good potential way to say, like, hey man, we're coming to play, and you as a platform holder need to help us sell more games on your platform, because both of us win. So either get out of the way, or we're just gonna do it.
Hashtag for the players, lol.
Yeah, exactly. Next news story. This one is a real bummer of a news story for a whole lot of reasons. EMU Paradise has announced that they have taken down all of their ROMs and ISOs because it started with Nintendo starting to get lawsuit happy with a bunch of other ROM sites. And I'd say EMU Paradise is probably the biggest one out there. So they have done a preemptive strike and said, look, we've gotten cease and desist over the years. We have removed the single title or like the franchise that developers and publishers have asked us to. We've always, worked with them.
Yeah, when that guy who lives in his basement and owns Midway got in touch with us, we took Midway stuff down.
Yeah, exactly. Like, the holding company that owns this other company wanted Mortal Kombat 3 for the Game Boy Advance taken down. We can do that. That's not a big deal.
Yeah.
But when Nintendo starts suing entire sites, that's when you start to get really worried. So I certainly don't blame the guy who runs this site for pulling all that stuff down, because if they started with these smaller sites, they're definitely going to come for EMU Paradise. That's a guarantee.
It definitely doesn't help that it seems like they are trying to hit for maximum damage with every single one of these that I'm hearing them going after. This isn't a case of you will give us 2 cents for everything. It's like, no, you will give us $200,000 for every single thing that you've got uploaded.
Yep, and here's the 50 pages of stuff that infringed. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I think this is a real bummer for a couple of reasons, but I think the biggest bummer for me is a site like Emu Paradise had so much stuff on it that
it's going to get lost.
Yeah, like it's already lost. And I think we as an industry with video games have a real problem with archiving.
Archival. Yeah.
Yeah, and especially with, batteries die on cartridges and CDs get CD rot and people aren't backing up some of this stuff. Places like Emu Paradise have like beta versions of games that, like you might be able, let's say you could go get a beta version of Crash Team Racing for the PS1 that had a bunch of stuff missing, but it's interesting from an archival standpoint about, how much this game progressed or what stuff got pulled out for the last minute.
Well, until the SNES Mini came out, Star Fox 2.
Yeah, exactly. That's a great point. And I understand where Nintendo is coming from a protection of their IP standpoint. I get it.
They have to. They legally have to, because if they don't, they lose it.
Right. But at the same time, there's no alternative. Like, when you look at music piracy, that is down to a staggering degree.
Yeah.
Because of Spotify.
Yeah, because of Spotify, because of iTunes, because of all these services that enable you to... I can't remember who it was that came up with the phrase, but you make it easier to do it one of two ways, and they're going to do it. Pirates made it easier to do a lot of stuff back in like the 90s and the 2000s.
Right.
So piracy was what happened.
Yep.
Because I don't want to have to try and run your PC game that has so much spyware or so much anti-DRM stuff that I can't run your game.
And then Steam made it super easy. Purchase, download, it's installed.
Done.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, we're talking about Spotify. You listed like 3 other services. There are probably about a dozen other ones that let you legally, very easily stream almost any album or song in the history of music.
YouTube exists.
Yeah, YouTube exists, which is also crazy because there's like a lot of technically piracy happening on YouTube, but it's not super easy. A lot of time, a lot of record labels don't care if you've uploaded an entire live concert that someone shot on their phone because they're not selling a Blu-ray of it. That doesn't really matter. The problem with video games is there are no services that you can get that is like, okay, I just want to play Chrono Trigger today. I'm going to fire up Spotify for games and just, I pay my $10 a month and I just play everything. There isn't that anymore. There isn't that at all. The only solution was websites like this. Because, go ahead.
I was just going to say, the only thing I hope that guy got his RAID server together. I hope he copied that entire thing.
Yeah.
And he heads on over to the guys over at the guys who work with Jeff Gersman a lot about the video game archive and stuff.
Oh, yeah, what's that guy's name?
I wish I could remember, but I can't remember. But I hope he got a hard drive. He put all of that stuff on that hard drive, got in touch with him, said, here you go. Here's a hard drive with every single thing I had on it. So you have a copy of it should things go south.
Frank Cifaldi. That's the guy I'm thinking.
Yes.
Yeah, the Video Game History Foundation. Yeah, like that's my hope is that Frank and his team have done such amazing work for archiving so much stuff in video games for decades.
And the stuff you don't even expect, like promo stuff, merch, all the stupid stuff that goes along with it.
Yeah, because he was on a video that I watched months ago where he had found one of the 2 or 3 copies of this video game. You can call it a magazine. It's almost like an encyclopedia that these 2 or 3 women wrote back in the 80s, and it's like 600 pages, and each page has like reviews for 2 games. And they just wrote thousands of reviews, stuck it in a binder, and just kind of kept it. And he has a copy of that now, and he's going to preserve it, which is great. But it's way harder to preserve like ISOs and ROM dumps, all this stuff. Emulators are fantastic nowadays, but like, for example, no one's emulating the original Xbox.
Yep.
Because the juice isn't worth the squeeze on that one, and Microsoft's doing a great job by themselves.
Yeah.
But the next Xbox probably isn't going to have original Xbox emulation because no one's going to play it. Very few people probably play it now.
No, it's a good fringe benefit.
Yeah, and it's like good marketing. It's like, oh, remember, what's the flying game? Road Redemption? Red something? That fighter plane game that everyone loved in the Xbox? Something Road to Redemption?
Crimson Skies?
Crimson Skies, yeah. You can play Crimson Skies again. And someone will play it for half an hour and go, yeah, that's an original Xbox. Yeah, all right, I'm good.
Yeah.
But this is a real bummer, and you're right. I hope that at the very least he's kept an entire copy and can get the archive in the right hands. It's a bummer that he didn't, accidentally open up an FTP server a couple days before he took it down and like wink and nod it, put it on Discord or anything.
No, because you know full well if he would have accidentally done that, there would have accidentally been a lawyer at his front door
true.
within about 10 minutes.
Hey, we know where you live. We'll be right there. But it's a real blow to archival because now no one's going to want to do it. For like the next couple of years until Nintendo's quiet again, because this happened in the early 90s when ROM dumps first started coming on the scene. And Nintendo was quiet for like 5 or 7 years, but it just sucks. Stop sucking, Nintendo.
I mean, like you said, you can't blame them because that's the whole thing over here is if you don't protect it, you lose it.
Yeah, exactly.
And the last thing Nintendo need is to lose a lot of licenses to big things. Imagine Nintendo didn't chase this. Yeah. And then 2 years down the line, Sony or Microsoft announce a new Mario game for the Xbox and the PlayStation 4. Nintendo try and serve papers, and their response is, well, you didn't protect it against all this stuff, so you don't get any right to do it now.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, you've got Mario the Red Plumber running around everywhere.
Right.
In games not made by Nintendo.
And what's a real bummer is Nintendo, for the longest time, was so aggressive on owning rights to games that were published on their platforms that
they own a lot of this stuff.
It seems like a natural thing that they would come out with, like the Switch's online stuff is supposed to come out late next month. But they're still not doing like Virtual Console right. Because they have hundreds and hundreds of titles across so many different platforms. It would make a lot more sense if they would say, all right, we're coming out with this, and surprise, instead of our original plan for NES games, on your Switch, you can just download and play hundreds of NES games as part of your subscription to the Nintendo Online thing, and then serve the lawsuit. And everyone would be like, yeah, that's fine. All right, you put a better system over here, then that's fine. But it feels an awful lot like the Napster days, where it's like they found this corner where piracy was rampant, and instead of resolving the issue, they just sued it into a crater.
Yeah.
So,
but considering how far behind Nintendo are on online stuff, the timing is about right, to be completely honest.
That's fair, yeah.
They're just starting with online multiplayer, which is about the time that the original Xbox introduced Xbox Live.
Right.
Which is about, 10, 15 years ago at this point?
Yeah, just about, yeah.
Which is about the same time that all the music places started going after Napster, so the timing works out pretty well. Nintendo are consistent in the amount of time they are behind.
They're just always 20 years behind.
Yep.
Oh, man. Well, I could talk about that one for a while. Let's keep moving on. The next story, Discord is starting to get into the game storefront marketplace by giving a free set of games to Discord Nitro subscribers. That's the $5 a month thing that gets you, honestly, some sort of benefit that I'm not entirely sure I understand as a person that runs a Discord server. I don't really know.
Probably bonus emotes and all that other custom stuff.
Probably, yeah. But that's $5 a month, and they're looking at giving, like Twitch has started to do, give a suite of games every month. The first month actually looks pretty good. They have stuff like Saints Row the Third, Metro Last Light, Super Meat Boy, De Blob. There are a couple of pretty solid games on there. Especially, like Twitch. If you have Twitch Prime, you're just sort of getting stuff for free anyway.
It's the Xbox Live Gold, PlayStation Plus thing.
Yep.
It's like, speaking of that, actually, I almost signed up for PlayStation Plus because Heavy Rain was on PlayStation Plus.
Oh,
thing.
yeah.
And then I realized I don't have a PlayStation 3, so I wouldn't be able to play it anyway.
Yeah, and you don't have a Vita either, right?
Nope.
Yeah. Well, I think it's the PS4 version of Heavy Rain.
I don't know.
Yeah, because they just came out with... It was like a double pack with Heavy Rain and Two Souls on the PS4.
Around the time Beyond was released.
Yeah,
not Beyond. Detroit.
Yeah, Detroit. Yeah, they put them out, and I think you can buy them for cheap separately digitally, but we shouldn't play those games anyway. Last news story here. I wasn't expecting to talk about Shadow of the Tomb Raider until it was out, but Square Enix came out with a really cool set of screenshots and description this week for their difficulty settings.
Yup. This is ingenious.
I hope more developers and publishers just steal this. So they have an overall difficulty where it's, the easy, medium, hard, whatever dumb names they're going to give it. But then underneath that, you can fine-tune 3 different categories. It's puzzle, exploration, and combat difficulty. And you can set each one of those to a different difficulty independent of each other. And what I thought was really great is they even released screenshots of the difference between, like, the exploration difficulty, where if it's on easy, a climbable platform has, like, dripping white paint coming off of it and, like, dripping all the way down a wall to where you need to jump and climb and grab on.
Yep.
And, like, the medium difficulty it's much lighter. In hard difficulty, there's none of that notification at all. So you just have to figure out from the environment. And they showed how combat and puzzle worked for that too. I think that's great, because if you like the combat and maybe you're not having fun with the puzzles, change the puzzle to super easy. The thing you need to interact with is blue. The thing you need to shoot is yellow. Do that and the puzzle is solved.
Yep.
Or vice versa. I think that's really great.
Yep. In a world of Wolfenstein 2's ridiculously hard difficulties and Halo bringing hard to be the normal way back when.
Yeah.
Good on them.
Yeah.
Like,
tailor your
job.
Experience.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, I think more people will play it when they find that, especially if they like the puzzle and exploration, but they don't really like the combat, because the Tomb Raider games, the combat's been fine, but for me, it's not the real draw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And gaming is one of the biggest markets it is. If you can get more people into it, great.
Yep.
And even better if you can not waste people's time.
Yeah.
For those who don't want to bang their head up against something, good.
Yeah. Yeah, if I don't have to look at a YouTube video because I've been stuck on a puzzle for 30 minutes because I just haven't seen this rusty cog 20 feet up in the air, I will be much happier.
Yeah.
Let's move on to TVGP recommends. Do you have anything this week?
Unfortunately, no, I don't this week.
I don't either. I haven't really been. I haven't really been ingesting anything other than games and kind of the same book I've been reading, which is Night Watch that Moon recommended to me. So far, so good. I like. We were talking about it. I don't think it was
Discord.
I don't think it was pre-show last week. We talked about it. I think it was pre-show. I'm really enjoying that book so far. We were talking about it in Discord, I like that it's technically urban fantasy now, though it's probably not in that genre when it was published, but it's not in like San Francisco or Chicago or somewhere like that. It's in Russia.
Yep.
And I think that's a really neat. I don't read a lot of books that are set in Russia, so it's pretty nice. Let's move on to questions. T-Bomb Rocks has a set of questions for us from Discord. It says, I've been thinking a lot about difficult to get into genres. Dead Cells is receiving great praise and is introducing light rogue elements into an action game for the first time. Mario and Rabbids also did something similar for strategy RPGs. What is another genre that most find hard to get into that could benefit from this?
Easiest answer ever for this one. Flight sims.
Yeah.
Ace Combat, Elite Dangerous. These are games that... Ace Combat less so, but these are games which if you don't get a handle on those controls relatively quick, it's real easy to bounce off them.
Yeah. And
when literally we have a conversation in Discord that says, how do I start Elite Dangerous? Watch 4 hours of videos. Right. They need an introductory game.
Yeah.
They need something to help you get into that. From what I understand, Snoopy Flying Aces was actually a really good version of that.
I did hear that, yeah. Which it's one of those games where it's like, the who, what now?
How does Snoopy's Flying Aces become a good Ace Combat introduction?
But we need something like more complex than No Man's Sky, because No Man's Sky is focused on the exploration rather than the flying. But Elite Dangerous is maybe one step too many. It's not like games beyond Elite Dangerous where it's like you have to have a HOTAS setup, you have to have this set of switches and stuff to start the game. It's not that bad, but
I mean, I think the logical step for that is Snoopy Flying Aces, Ace Combat, Elite Dangerous,
right,
and then whatever Drew Scanlon is playing on a daily basis.
Exactly.
But the problem is Snoopy's Flying Aces now is pretty much done and dusted.
Right.
Ace Combat, there hasn't been a good version of that. Well, there hasn't been an Ace Combat game in how long?
God, did one come out on the 360?
It did. It was 6, I think, came out on the 360.
Yeah, and the next one is they keep saying they're working on it. It's like it showed up at E3 again, but yeah, we're still working.
So what you've got there is you've got nothing, Elite Dangerous.
Right.
That's not the place to start.
No. Unless you're willing to bang your head against it for a little bit to get that foundation down.
Yeah. No, I think there need to be more of those kind of games.
Yeah.
Like introductions into that space is actually would be really cool. Other than that, I think the problem is a lot of things get that right.
Yeah.
Like, Rogue Legacy is like a good introduction to rogues and like platformers at the same time. Mario is a really good introduction to more hardcore platformers like Meat Boy.
Yeah. And I sort of wish T-Bomb hadn't brought up Mario and Rabbids for SRPGs, because
it's a really good
example. It's a really good example. I sort of wish that there was a more maybe commercially viable entry point into JRPGs. So right now, my suggestion would be Battle Chasers Night War. Because it's short, it is a JRPG, but for a lot of people, the art style is pretty divisive.
Yeah, the only other one I can think of is Costume Quest.
Yeah, Costume Quest is a really good one, but that's starting to get into the realm of, well, how do I play that? And it's like, well...
Yeah, exactly.
Funny story. You know, it's like, if it isn't on Steam at this point, it's going to be a little bit harder to get into. And Costume Quest 2 wasn't as good as the first one, so that's not that wouldn't be my recommended entry point.
Yeah.
But there's, some of the other genres I like visual novels, the entry point, the friction point is so low that, like, if you have the platform and you can read, like, I'm not making fun of anyone, but like those are the only two check boxes you need to check for you to get into visual novels.
Card games, Magic the Gathering, Minos Hand of Fate, Hearthstone. There is no without going back and playing one of the Final Fantasy games, there is no introduction into those card-type games unless you want to read documents of games and theory to try and get into these type of models.
I feel like Hearthstone started out as that, and I was just reading a bunch of stuff from people that are still playing Hearthstone, and they're like, look, if you haven't started it by now, don't bother. It's like the ramp-up is bad.
Yeah, it evolved into Magic the Gathering.
Right.
Just like, yep, good luck. Here's 10 years of history. Learn it, then start to play.
Yeah. Yeah, and the only thing that I'd say maybe about roguelikes is I would still recommend Isaac as a good entry point, but I almost wish there was like one help screen where it's like, just keep playing. Here's your first objective, beat mom, and then that's not the ending. Keep playing. Don't look at a wiki. Yeah. You know, like here are the 10 commandments of Binding of Isaac. You know, like keep playing. Keep it thematic. Yeah, just 10 that just says keep playing.
Thou shalt not stop playing.
Yeah. I can't think of anything else. Rhythm games are mostly a dead genre at the moment anyways, unless you play Beat Saber, but you'll have a VR setup anyway, so...
Well, we were literally talking about rhythm games yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
And I realised how badly I need a new Elite Beat Agents.
Yeah, man. The Taiko Drum Master looks like it's going to come out for Switch here, which is really great. It has touchscreen support, too. It's so good. Yeah, another Elite Beat Agent would be great.
I was trying to think of how could they do that on the Switch, but you'd need like a HDMI cable to have it, and like just release a port of it where the Switch is plugged into the TV. Your TV is the top screen with everybody dancing and the music.
Yeah.
And the Switch is your touchpad screen.
Right.
That would be cool, but I miss Elite Beat Agents, and that thing needs... It was all covers, and the covers were incredible.
Yeah, and I'm still surprised they didn't bring the second game out here. I have both of the original ones. What is it? Os Takade Wendon for DS. I imported both of those, and both of them are really good. But they never redid the second one to come out here. I think probably because it was just a little too much work.
Yeah. Those games are so good.
I'm trying to think of any other... I like shooters, but like I feel like you can pick any shooter and set it to easy, and you'll get the left stick, right stick stuff down.
Pretty much real-time strategies, but
that's a genre on the downswing right now too.
It is, and then also how do you make a simple one?
Yeah, I feel like you could. Man, if that CNC game they announced at E3 wasn't a Command and Conquer game, that
might be.
Yeah, that might be a really good entry point, but I feel like it has too many strikes against it already.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. So they just basically Square needs to put the original version of Chrono Trigger on PS4, Xbox One, and Switch, so I can just recommend that to everyone.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's you, so...
Yeah, that's true. T-Bomb Rocks also asks, after the final season of Telltale's The Walking Dead, they will finally be updating the game engine. This is where everybody goes, yeah!
Yup.
Assassin's Creed did something similar by taking a break and create a much-needed change with Origins. What are some other game series that would benefit from an engine change or gameplay changes?
Call of Duty.
Yeah, not really on the engine side, but yeah, gameplay could be...
Like, they've got 3 studios working every single day for 3 years to put out a game every 3 years now.
Mm-hmm.
There is no time for evolution. There's no time for development. Take a year, get all 3 teams together, and then start the cycle again.
Yeah.
Take a couple of years and just take some time and redo it if you need to.
I feel like from a marketing standpoint, nowadays, taking a break from a Call of Duty game suddenly got a lot easier because Titanfall 2 and Rainbow Six Siege have been so supported post-release. I feel like if Activision was to come out and say, all right, look, we're not going to come out with a Call of Duty this year, but we will be coming out with X, Y, and Z for the game you already have for free, I feel like that's a pill that could go down pretty easily nowadays.
Yeah, And people are much more understanding of that kind of stuff, especially after stuff like Origins comes out and is an incredible shift away from the Assassin's Creed series as a whole.
Yeah, the
really
formula.
Evolution. Yeah. Well, I think the problem is the second you, especially public companies, the second you say you're not doing something, your stock tanks.
Yep.
FIFA needs to not come out every year. Madden needs to not come out every single year.
Yeah.
Don't tell me you don't make enough money on them to take a break and just do $10, $20 updates to the roster every year, because you make billions on those Ultimate Teams.
Oh, yeah.
FIFA alone.
Well, and I think for Call of Duty, like, I think if you come out with the game, let's say fall of 2018, fall of 2019, you put out a $10 to $20 downloadable pack that contains the greatest hits of maps from yesteryear and maybe like an extra single player mission or two. I think you'd probably do really well.
Yeah.
I think not being super mired in that.
Yeah. But the problem is the second they announce that, stock tanks, everyone sells, everyone gets paranoid and scared. It's like, well, okay, don't have a public company then. Yeah. Because this is going to... Call of Duty, same as everything else, is going to go the way of the Guitar Hero, the way of the Tony Hawk. Yeah. It will stop selling eventually, and then what do you have? Because, no offense to Activision, but they have got long in the tooth with the Activision Blizzard franchises. Yeah. Overwatch is the only thing that seems fresh from them. Call of Duty, World of Warcraft... I apologize in advance. Destiny. Well, these are things which...
I think when you look at Destiny, I was trying to find a way to bring that into this conversation, but Destiny has foundational problems that might go beyond gameplay and engine. Like, to me, if they would have launched Destiny 2 now, after taking another year, Destiny 2 probably would have been really great. But you could feel Activision Blizzard's hands on their back saying, you're out of content for Destiny 1, Destiny 2 isn't ready, you have to push Destiny 2. You just have to push it out the door, because we're not going to go without a revenue source from the only game that your studio is putting out when we have 400 of you on payroll. And now 3 whole studios. But I think Destiny 2's problem certainly isn't gameplay, and it probably isn't engine anymore. It's something more franchise foundational, and it's Activision,
Yeah. I mean, honestly, people talk about the whole, EA putting out blah blah, and, Ubisoft are probably, in my opinion, publisher of the generation right now. Yep. Activision, I don't think Activision have got long left. Not short term. Obviously, they're going to be fine for the next 5 years, for the next 10 years.
And they have Blizzard.
And they have Blizzard, which makes them money. But how much time does WoW have left? How much time does Call of Duty have left? How much time do these franchises that they depend on? How much time do they really have?
That's my big question for World of Warcraft is... I know it still has a very dedicated, very hardcore fan base, which is great. You already have a built-in set number of people that are going to buy each expansion, maybe minus 5 to 10% every time the game a new expansion comes out. But World of Warcraft it's been around for 15 years now. That's incredibly long for any online game, nevertheless an MMO. With no real replacement in sight. I think Final Fantasy XIV has shown that you can supplement...
You can be as successful.
Yeah, like supplement and eventually
successful.
Replace your successful game with another one. But I don't even think there have been leaks or rumors about any potential WoW successor.
Nope.
And I don't know what they're going to do. I mean, they have WoW Classic on the horizon, but that doesn't really matter.
No. And, like, you look at it and their replacement for WoW turned into Overwatch because they couldn't get it to work.
Yep, that's true.
That's fine, and Overwatch probably makes them a ton of money.
Yep, got that loot box money.
Exactly, but at the same time, like, they are long in the tooth.
Yeah.
And it's not even the company is long in the tooth, it's that the franchises are all long in the tooth.
Yeah.
Take a break from them all and figure something new out, because that old cycle of who's the best, who's the worst, EA versus Activision.
Right.
EA have made really bad decisions over the past couple of years. I still think they're making better decisions than Activision is.
Well, in EA, you can look and say, okay, they tried again with Mirror's Edge, and maybe it didn't work out for a second time, but man, they tried it again. You know, they still have their sports pillars holding up the company, but they're at least giving it a shot with a bunch of other stuff. You know, maybe, certainly not to the extent that maybe Ubisoft is doing, where Ubisoft has, I feel like, less tentpole franchises, but they are probably bigger sellers, or at least more guaranteed sellers. But EA, maybe in the downloadable space, they've done some interesting stuff, but not that much. I mean, Unravel beside, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah,
I think EA are saved by the fact that they have the sports games, but again, the sports games are all long in the tooth.
Yeah.
And 2K is taking chunks out of that market year after year after year.
True. One of my knee-jerk answer to this question was actually Final Fantasy, but Final Fantasy 15 has done surprisingly well for them by massively changing the formula that was never really, you know, after Final Fantasy 9, the formula has been in flux for basically every game that has come out since then. But it seems like they finally hit pay dirt with 15, and now they're going through the motions of, you know, extensively supporting that post-launch. So, I don't know if that one really counts anymore. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like we don't have... I mean, like, other than sports games, which aren't really our forte, and big budget shooters, which also aren't our forte, I feel like a lot of the franchises we really like are changing it up, like Assassin's Creed. I think that's probably one of the best examples where they had a winning formula that was selling a solid number of games every year, every other year, and then they totally threw that out the window. Like we had been asking for a while. It's like, can we please keep expanding this formula? But they just said, no, we're done with that. We're gonna come out with something totally new.
It was also declining. You could see the sales numbers going down. And how long have we been saying that about Call of Duty?
I feel like Call of Duty hasn't had its Assassin's Creed Unity, though, where like everything, it was like a perfect storm where bugs and exhaustion with the formula and frustrations over we can't make women, you know, character models, and, you know, there was like 5 or 6 things of floating eyeballs. You know, it's just like...
Yeah, I think the closest thing to that was Ghosts, which was the first next-gen Call of Duty game.
Yeah, that's true. I forgot about that one.
That was a tough game.
Yeah.
Like, it was okay. It wasn't anything special, but it was tough.
It wasn't COD Blops 3, where it's just like, yes! This is so good!
Yeah. And I think the fact that they're taking out what, like... They had the reveal event, and they're like, does it have wall running? No. And the fans cheered that.
Right.
And now it seems like everyone is pushing back against that again, where it's like, no, we like the wall running.
Right.
We like the speed. And it doesn't have a campaign, and they're going to do their best to stick a Battle Royale mode in.
Right.
And if they mess it up, and they have the zombies mode, and they have 16,000 maps of zombies or whatever it is, they need to nail this one.
Yep.
Because this might be that sea change point of you're in trouble now.
Well, and I think when you looked at Call of Duty before, you didn't necessarily have a competitor. Mm-hmm. And I think when people fall off of Call of Duty, they land into Fortnite is free. Yeah. And all their friends are playing it.
I think it was always the Call of Duty versus Battlefield thing.
Yep.
And something I always noticed was, I used to play Call of Duty. I fell off Call of Duty. I fell into Battlefield. And I became a Battlefield fan and don't like the way Call of Duty plays.
Right.
It's too short of a time to kill.
Right.
The more I played Battlefield, the more I noticed people who dropped off Call of Duty preferred Battlefield because it was a better experience for them.
Mm-hmm.
And then going back, you actually play Call of Duty better because your responses are better from Battlefield.
Oh, interesting.
But then the problem they're going to run into now is, yeah, you're going to have this zombies mode. You're planning on releasing this at $60, and don't tell me you're not Activision because you know they're going to drop this at $60.
It's not going to be a $30 game.
You're planning on having all this stuff for zombie mode and a battle royale mode because you think everybody's going to be so into it. Everyone seems to be missing the whole point of these battle royale games. Fortnite is free.
Yep. It's on everything now, literally, now that's coming on Android, and it's free.
Like, there is no barrier to entry in that game.
Yep. I guarantee you have a device somewhere around you or that you own that will play this.
Yeah.
It might be a PS4 and you're getting the short end of the stick. You can still play Fortnite.
And then on top of that, you add in the fact that Fortnite is cartoony styled.
Yep.
So there is no age restriction on the game itself either.
There's no blood pouring out of people.
Exactly. Yep. So even folks who might have parents who are a bit more of a stickler for that kind of thing, that's not a barrier to entry either.
Yep. Yeah, you can look at it and go, that looks fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not like the opening gunshots of Akira, where it's like, oh, wow, that guy just exploded.
Mm-hmm. It's not the intro to Fist of the North Star, where a guy gets punched in the belly and his head explodes.
Yeah, exactly.
It's none of these things. It's if Call of Duty want to really make an impression, release your game for free.
Sure, yeah.
Let's see how. Put yourself in
just
direct
slap it on the table and say, like, this is what we're doing.
Yep. Like, literally, I would kill to see that. I would love to see Activision roll out and announce Call of Duty and not talk about pre-order bonuses, not talk about any of this other stuff or console exclusivity, just talk about the game itself, and then on launch day, turn around and say, oh, by the way, it's free, and it's on your phones, and it's out right now.
It'd be so great if they announced it at E3, and at the end, they're like, it's coming November 2018. For free. Drop the mic and leave. Peace! And it just...
Yeah. I, as much as I'm really interested in Cyberpunk, if Activision did that at an E3 press conference, they take that show.
Yeah, exactly.
Take that week.
The game has been changed, yeah. Let's hit our last question here from Maximus Prime that I sort of feel like we might have accidentally answered already. He says, so far the Call of Duty Black Ops 4 beta has been heavily criticized by many of the series' biggest fans, which makes me more likely to buy it because it sounds really different. I really don't like the typical Call of Duty formula. My question is, are there any long-running popular series that you didn't like, but after they drastically changed it and lost popularity, you then became a fan of the new spin on the series? That's a good question.
I can honestly say no, because even when I hate something, I'll still find the good in it.
Yeah,
it's a weird thing to say, but like I said, I was never a fan of Call of Duty. I don't like the way that game plays. It's a very solid... it's the Destiny thing. Mechanically, Call of Duty is fantastic to control and play.
It feels good.
I hate it because it's Twitch based. It's very much who reacts first.
The TTK is super fast.
Yeah, and then the time to respawn is really short as well. So it's got that really quick go,
yeah.
Which is I don't know how they're going to handle that in a battle royale mode with that audience. Yeah. But you take all of that, and mechanically it was fantastic. It just was not for me. Now, I played the campaigns for pretty much every Call of Duty right up to this generation.
Oh, yeah.
I loved pretty much all of them. I played Spec Ops out the wazoo like you would not believe, because Spec Ops is one of the best modes in Call of Duty.
Yeah.
I hate the multiplayer for it. I hate so many aspects of it, but you'd never hear me say Call of Duty is a bad game, because it's not for me. It's still good. Like, that's my biggest thing, is I will never rake a game over the coals
right
for being bad just because I don't like it. I will always try and point out why somebody else might like it.
Well, and I think one of the problems with you and I too is we're often extremely early adopters. So if a franchise is going to come out, we're usually getting in on the ground floor. Like with Assassin's Creed, we both started with 1 when it came out.
And Dead Space, I started with 1. I know you didn't because you're a big wuss.
No, it's phone.
Yep. My Do Not Disturb has run out. We have been recording for that long.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I played Dead Space pretty early on because it was getting such rave reviews. And I could play it like
go all the way through to 2
at noon in the direct sunlight with the windows open.
So that's how you did it.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I feel like the problem with the quote-unquote problem with us is that we're often playing so much that comes out during a year that we're often hitting the major tentpole releases in a year that, if they succeed, turn into a franchise. So we're not usually... Well, I guess the only one for us would be Saints Row the Third. So I played a little bit of 1 and 2 and really didn't like them.
I loved them since the beginning. Like Saints Row 1, I love the fact that it was an alternative. Saints Row 2 is still one of my favorite games of all time.
Yeah.
And then the places they took it from there was incredible too.
Yeah.
But again, Saints Row 1, I was like, it is an alternative to Grand Theft Auto. It's not as good as Grand Theft Auto,
but it's a good parody.
It's an alternative. Yes.
Yeah.
And then 2, they leaned all the way into that, and then it just took off from there.
Yeah. Oh man. All right. Well, I think we're now that your alarm has gone off, I think that signifies that we're out of questions and out of time for this week. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening. If you'd like to visit us, you can do so at tvgp.tv. All the places you can follow and find us are on the right-hand side of the page. Patreon, patreon.com/E1M1, the ones are numbers. Get all the exclusive behind-the-scenes stuff, early access episodes. Outcast this week is going to be a banger, because we recorded a whole bunch of behind-the-scenes sort of exclusive talk. It was like 20-something minutes before we started recording, so that's exclusive to the $2 and up patrons. You can sign up now, and you get all the stuff that we've released already. And don't forget, you'll get early access to whatever we replace the Binding of Moonpier with. Game Club for this month, Celeste. We have 1 week left of that. It is not super short, so you could even start it now and get in on the live stream action.
Not super long is what he meant there, folks.
What did I say?
Not super short.
Right. Yes. What I meant is the exact opposite. And Twitch, YouTube, all those other places you can find us. We'll see you all next week.
Bye-bye.
God, it's so hot in here.
Yeah,
let me open the window.
Yeah. Also, when did my chair become so creaky?
The sun. That's a little better. All right. I have 4 titles. Hopefully you have a bunch.
Dude, I got like 12.
Great. Oof. Thank goodness.
Okay. Golden Golf Game. Meh. Ratpocalypse.
Yeah, I've got that one. I was very proud of myself with that one. I wrote that one down.
It was pretty good. Impossible to Balance. Rattling the Brain in My Skull. Boston's Osteoporosis. Bicky Wiki. Not a game breaker, but a run maker.
Oh, that's a good one.
Free to play demon. Hashtag for the players lol. Destiny intervention. Cease and desist edition. And thou shalt not stop playing.
Oh, that one's pretty good. Hold on, let me write it down. Thou shall not stop playing. God, I hate this pen. Alright, I wrote down Ratpocalypse. This person is spoiler. Like your Lakitu. So I thought that was really good.
Yeah.
One Night Stands, because that made me laugh really hard.
That one.
Boston's Osteoporosis. I really like Free to Play Demon. Cease and Desist Edition. I really like that one. And then Thou Shall Not Stop Playing.
Honestly, there's like 4 of these are like I think Cease and Desist Edition, One Night Stands, just because your reaction to One Night Stands is so fantastic.
It's the perfect term. Mm-hmm. It's so good.
Like, she came up with this like 8 months ago as well.
Oh,
like when we were living in the old apartment, she came up with it.
You've been holding out on us.
It didn't even occur to me until like now. I'm torn between One Night Stand, Thou Shalt Not Stop Playing, and Cease and Desist Edition. I think those are the 3 big gems.
I really like Cease and Desist Edition.
Mm-hmm. I think it comes down to Cease and Desist and One Night Stands. Like, those are the 2 big ones. As much as I love Thou Shalt Not Stop Playing, I think it's got to be one of those 2.
Someone in chat asked, was Shadow banned from chat? No, I haven't banned anyone. Everyone on Mixer's been behaving themselves this week. I almost feel like we should go with Cease and Desist Edition because I think One Night Stands is better if it surprises the listener like it surprised me. Yeah. Because I was not expecting you to drop One Night Stands as her term, and it's so good.
It's really, really good.
Alright, let's do Cease and Desist Edition then. Oh, man. Alright, let's get started here in 3, 2, 1. This is That Video Game Podcast, episode 564 for August 13th, 2018, Cease and Desist Edition.
Letter of the law, not spirit of the law.
Alright, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. I will check out what's going on with Shadow's account just in a second. Reese, thank you for letting me know there's some problem. I don't think Moonpier will let you have his cat. I'm sorry.
No, sorry, she's all mine.
Yeah.
And she dupes me.
But we'll see you all next week. Bye.
Bye.
And we can stop recording.